I shouldn't be here. I spent 3 months in an incubator fighting for my life. The nurses had literally thumped my foot just to sit into my brain to breathe. Doctors gave me a little chance to survive. And yet here I am, alive, standing in front of all of you. That was my first time defying the odds. You see, we all have hardships. Some of us inherit it. Some of us have the privilege to avoid it. But me, I was born in it, fighting for every single breath. Only to grow up to hear the last breaths of the one who gave me life. I was only 7. I remember sitting on my mom's lap in the backseat of the car as my grandfather rushed us to the hospital. Her pats on my head to keep me calm faded away, just like her heartbeat. She died on Valentine's Day. It was very traumatic. Research from the National Library of Medicine states that children who lose a parent early in life often carry that pain for decades. And on top of that, they navigate struggles of emotional and mental challenges. That was true for me. Losing her created a weight I could not understand. So my 7-year-old brain created an invisible backpack to carry everything I could not process. Every minor inconvenience was a pebble, and every major disappointment was a stone. I carried that backpack everywhere, from childhood to adulthood. I grew up in a blue-collar household where we worked hard, prayed harder, and made no excuses. A father who was disciplined, structured, steady, who had high expectations for my life, and a stepmom who loved me like I was her own. One day, I had to talk. And no, not the birds and the bees, the one about bias. How before I even open my mouth, my skin already starts the conversation. How I have to work twice as hard only to go half as far. You do the math. The odds were never in my favor. But the reality is, I changed that. I carried those expectations along with the pain and pressures of life in that same invisible backpack. Some stones were placed there by the world. Some I put there myself. But it was heavy, very heavy. But life has a way of changing in an instant. 1 minute, I'm sitting in a restaurant with my fiance laughing. And the next minute, mugs fall on my head. That moment changed my life forever. For the next 6 months, my brain felt like it was on fire. Migraines, blackouts, semi seizures. It was awful. And I thought I could carry it. Next to everything else I never unpacked in my invisible backpack. I couldn't. I had hydrocephalus. My brain was creating additional fluid. The pressure was literally crushing the inside of my head. I needed brain surgery 2 months before my wedding. And I just kept wondering, why did this have to happen to me? And would I recover in time? I remember waking up from surgery, strapped to the bed, screaming from all of the pain as my family could only sit there and watch. That was one of my first end of the world moments, if you will. But many of us probably had that too. Maybe that was your first heartbreak, job loss, or your first paper cut as a kid. You laugh. You know it's true. You thought it was the end of the world until you woke up the next day. The world kept going. And so did I. I did recover in time. I did marry my wife. And we said for better or for worse, but life said bet. Uh, I'm going to challenge you on the worst. Over the next 2 years, I had back-to-back brain surgeries. A shunt had to be put in my head to regulate my fluids. Now, I carry this shunt daily as a reminder of how fragile life can be. Transformation starts not when life is good. It starts when everything breaks, when it feels like it's the end of the world, but you choose to rebuild anyway. And so I did. If you Google me or ask ChatGPT, you'll see the highlight: a marketer who's generated millions for clients, an author, an award-winning podcaster, a global speaker who shared the same stage with Oprah and President Barack Obama. But let me tell you something. Highlight reels end. And boom, a knockout punch I did not see coming. I lost my CMO role. I lost my biggest clients. I lost my portfolio and my savings. Everything I worked so hard to build was gone. But I followed the plan. I went to college. I worked really hard. And I sacrificed so much. So why is my life getting harder? Haven't I gone through enough? At first, I thought my life hardships were a curse. But then I realized they were my life assignments. It wasn't asking me, can you survive this? It was asking, are you ready to be who you're meant to be? Our brains get stuck in thought loops, patterns that repeat what we focus on the most. If you focus on failure, that's what you'll attract. But here's the good news: we can change and rewire our brains. You can acknowledge the pain, thank it for the lessons, erase its control, reset your focus, and move forward. And that's when I started to stop asking, why me, at every end of the world moment. And that's when I started asking, who do I need to become to handle this in business and in life? And that mindset shift is built on three things: curiosity, courage, and community. Get curious. Be open to the possibility. Don't let yourself be in limitations. Be courageous. Dare to explore every possibility, even if there's a chance of failure. Lean in on your community to be your anchor and support you when life gets heavy. For me, my anchor has a name. Her name is Skylar. And every time I have to deal with something hard, heavy now, I think about her, her smile, her laugh, how she looks at me. What version of Troy do I want her to see? We all juggle with, how do we grow and evolve to our level of becoming? And sometimes we think we're all alone, but we're not. Because the reality of hardships is universal. What we do with them is transformational. We can't change our past. We can't change the inevitable. I can't undo the surgeries, and I can't erase the trauma. I can't change the color of my skin. And if I could be really vulnerable with you, some days, I wish I could. There's a saying in the Marines: the backpack they carry weighs more than what's inside. It's not just gear, it's fear, it's regret, it's doubt, the pressure to breathe, the pressure to perform, the pressure to provide, the pressure to be a good son, a good husband, and now a good father, and to not break under the weight of it all. The pressures and hardships you are navigating is not a curse, it's a blessing. Start having the audacity to focus on the outcomes only you can create. Thank you.